Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today we're going to be going over the new top 25 for Week 5 for college football, as the new AP College Football Top 25 rankings came out earlier today. Before I go over the new top 25, I'm going to be going over teams in college football that got receiving votes to potentially be in the top 25 that ultimately did not get in. The team that is not ranked, who led in receiving votes, was Kansas State, who was previously ranked number 15 back in week 3, but lost to Missouri. They had 54. Kentucky had 41. This is crazy to think about, but Colorado, who was ranked 19 and lost to Oregon by 36 points, had 32 votes. Louisville had 32. UCLA, another top 20 team that lost this week, had 28. Maryland had 20. TCU had 17. Tulane had 11, Syracuse had 8, Wisconsin had 6, Air Force had 6, Clemson, even though they're a 2-loss team, had 5, and Texas A&M had 5 as well. All right, let's go over the new top 25. 25 is Fresno State. They've started out 4-0, and they just beat Kent State. 24 is Kansas. They just beat BYU 38-27. They have a hard matchup, though, and there's a good chance they will not be in the top 25 for long, as they play the number 3 Texas Longhorns this Saturday. 23 is Missouri. 22 is Florida. They won 22-7 against Charlotte. 21 is Tennessee. They beat somebody 30-13, I believe, or 30. They won 35-13 against somebody. 20 is Ole Miss. They are just coming off losing to Alabama 24-10. 19, another team that lost, Oregon State, who lost to Washington State 38-35. 18 is Miami. 17 is Duke. They just got a huge win. I think they won like 51-7, something like that. 16 is Washington State. They're jumping up from number 21, I believe, and they just beat Portland State, or not Portland State. They just beat Oregon State, who was ranked number 13, I believe, before their matchup. Number 15 is North Carolina, who beat Pittsburgh 41-24. Number 14 is Oklahoma, who beat Cincinnati 20-6. Number 13 is LSU, who almost lost and almost took their second loss of the season to Arkansas 34-31, but they survived. Number 12 is Alabama, as they had a second-half bounce back. They were down 7-6 at halftime, but ultimately won the game 24-10. 11 is Notre Dame. They only fell down 2 spots after losing to Ohio State 17-14. This is where I had Notre Dame at in my rankings predictions, and it doesn't surprise me at all. They were the underdogs in this game. They nearly won. They probably should have won, and I don't think they deserve to fall, especially when the teams around them, like below them, I didn't see any teams like, honestly, Alabama, LSU, Oklahoma, North Carolina, Washington State. I think Washington State was the only team you could argue being over Notre Dame. I don't really think any of those teams deserve to be over Notre Dame. Alabama nearly lost. LSU nearly lost. Oklahoma doesn't deserve to be over Notre Dame. So I didn't think Notre Dame deserved to fall that much, even though they lost to Ohio State, and they only fall 2 spots. Number 10 is Utah, after barely defeating UCLA 14-7. I guess why maybe you could say UCLA got some votes to stay in the top 25 was because they almost beat a top 10 team. So, I mean, yeah, they almost beat a top 10 team. They only lost by 7, so I guess that's probably why they got some votes, but there's no way they would have stayed in the top 25. And then number 9 is Oregon, who just beat Primetime in Colorado 42-6. Great win for Oregon. Number 8 and falling down 3 spots is USC. Honestly, I think USC deserves this right here. I really truly believe USC deserves to drop. I don't know about this far. I had USC dropping just a tiny bit. I had them being jumped by Ohio State and then Penn State as well, and then being 7. But I didn't think Washington would jump them as well. But USC is 8 after playing a very close a game with a terrible Arizona State team. Won by 14, but was a very close game. Was a closer game. The score makes it look like it was a little bit of a blowout, but this was a very close game. For a USC team, they were the 5th team in the country going into this game, and there was a decent chance they could have lost this ball game. So they deserve to drop. At 7 is Washington, who took a big win. I believe they won 59-32, but I can't remember who they played. And then 6 is Penn State. They beat up on Iowa. Penn State was 7 in the Week 4 rankings, and they played a ranked matchup against 24 Iowa and shut them out 31-0. 5 was Florida State. I mean, it surprised me. It doesn't surprise me they fell down. They almost lost again to another unranked team. But Clemson is not, in my opinion, Clemson is not a normal unranked team. They are way better for a team that is unranked, and it was in Clemson as well. So I sort of think that Clemson is like a top 25 team that is not in the top 25, and they played a great game against Florida State. Florida State survived them in overtime 31-24. Number 4 is Ohio State, who just beat Notre Dame 14-17. So great win for Ohio State. I was really impressed with the way Ohio State played this week. They jump in back to the top 4. They took a little bit of a hit to start the season. I believe they were at 3 to start the year. Then some struggles in week 1. Just not that great of football. They struggled in week 1. Their offense was terrible, and they fell all the way to 6, or maybe it was to 5, and then eventually fell down to 6 the next week. And a great performance by this Ohio State team against a good team in Notre Dame. And Ohio State's been a little bit hated on to start this year, and they really showed it this week that they're a good team, and I really liked what I saw from them, and I think they deserve to be in the top 4. Number 3 is Texas. They stay at the same spot. Texas beat up on Baylor at Waco, 38-6. Great win for Texas. Quinn Ewers had a good game, and this defense looks great as well. Number 2 is Michigan. They beat Rutgers 31-7. They stay at the same spot. Number 1 is Georgia. They won 49-21 against UAB. So the top 3 stays the same with Georgia, Michigan, and Texas, but Ohio State jumps into 4 after being at 6. Then Florida State goes down from 4 to 5. USC, who was at 5, goes down to 8. Penn State, who was at 7, goes to 6. Washington, who was at 8, goes up to 7. That's kind of and then Oregon, who was at 10, goes up to 9. And USC, who was at 5, goes to 8. And then Utah, I believe, were at 11, and they jump into the top 10. So that is kind of some of the movement in the top 10 that you saw in the new top 25. That's the video. Hope you guys enjoy them. Your thoughts on the new top 25, and peace out.